With Halo now heading to the Sony PlayStation, us Xbox fans really get to relive what it must have been like to be a Sega fan in early 2001, when Sega, of course, came out and announced that the Dreamcast would be ceasing production, that they would no longer be producing games for the Dreamcast, and that their whole venture into the path of video gaming hardware was coming to an end. That is the level of seismic shift that the video game industry is now experiencing. However, the writing has been on the wall here for quite some time. I think you could have seen this coming. I saw it coming just over 3 years ago. And as, like I said, an almost 2 decades long gamer on Xbox, I did indeed jump ship over to PS5 and haven't really looked back since. However, I am kind of getting a little bit sick and tired of these kumbaya content creators that want to celebrate this as some huge win for gamers and that now we can all come together and we can stop the console wars and fanboyism can go away and that's a real problem for the industry. That, in my opinion, is a complete misreading of not only why people are angry, rightly so, in my opinion, in some respects, but also a misreading of the business and what exclusives did for video gaming and for video game consoles in a lot of ways. So I'm going to go through both of these key points in a little bit of detail and let's see if you guys agree with me. I'm Shooter, brand new gaming content creator here on YouTube and everywhere else you may be watching this video. Subscribe if you are new. I'm trying to bring an actual passion for video gaming back to video gaming content, which I think is kind of sorely missing at the moment. So be sure to subscribe, hit like on this video, and leave me your comments below. I want to know what you think. Do you agree with me that some of these other commentators are missing the point here? And that this could actually have some consequences on the industry and on the types of video games that we're going to get in the future that are not necessarily going to be good. Let me know below, and I had a great conversation with some people back and forth on my first two videos here, so let's keep that going. So let's start out with the fact here that a lot of these kumbaya content creators who are trying to dress this up as some huge victory for video gamers and for the industry as a whole are really just throwing this word around, and of course that is fanboyism. The only reason people are angry or upset about this is because they're fanboys. And you know, what sense does it make to defend your plastic box versus my plastic box? These people are all morons. All they want to do is argue on the internet all day. Hold up, wait a second. That is about the lowest level, least critical argument that I think I have ever heard. If we actually trace fanboyism to what it actually comes from and what it actually means, it's a lot more than simply these people just like arguing on the internet about their little plastic boxes. I mean, please grow up and get some analytical teeth behind you. What is fanboyism? In a lot of ways, it's driven by socioeconomic factors, isn't it? The fact that if you're a kid and you're in a poorer household, or you're an adult who's struggling to make ends meet, you might have to make a choice. You might not be able to afford every single console out there, so you make a choice to buy one over the other. And what tended to be the real biggest factor in that decision, of course, exclusive games. So once people made their socioeconomic choice, often really a forced choice because they couldn't just go and buy every single console out there, what would happen? They would start to become loyal to their chosen console. Nintendo fans, Sony fans, Xbox fans, Sega fans. And what does that mean? It means they want their console to do well. They want it to succeed because they are literally financially invested in that system. They want to know they've made the right choice with their system. And what comes from that? Next step along the line here. It's not just my plastic box versus your plastic box. After you've made your choice, your socioeconomic choice, usually driven by exclusives, and now you want the platform to do well, what is also going on side by side, parallel to that? You're having experiences with this console, with this system, with this brand. Usually great experiences. And you're probably building a little bit of a community along the way here. You're making friends, whether that be in the playground, whether that be online, and you're building a group of people that share a similar set of interests. What do people with a similar set of interests tend to want to do? Look out for, defend, and care about their chosen set of interests. So please don't just break this down to idiots on the internet or unwarranted anger or just stupid fanboys. No, 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 no. It's a lot deeper than that. And if you do feel betrayed, you do feel angry, you are right to have those feelings. And I think anyone who's holding that against you right now is doing not only you a disservice, but I think video gaming as a whole a disservice, and really showing a level of disrespect to the gamer that is unfortunately becoming all too unique in this industry, all too ubiquitous in this industry at the moment. Let's move on to some business issues when it comes to exclusives and what these mean for the gaming industry broadly, because these two are forgotten by the kumbaya content creators celebrating the emergence of Halo on PlayStation and the death of Xbox as some great thing. Exclusives drive a platform forward. What happens when you live in a world where everything is accessible everywhere all the time? That is kind of the entertainment environment that we live in at the moment, isn't it? Has entertainment gotten better for that? Or have instead we just been shoveled tons and tons and tons of generic, mediocre, junk content to feel the fact that we can now access it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week? Do we want video gaming to go down the same road? Because Microsoft is essentially telling us that is what they're going to do, which we'll come back to in a second. Exclusives should give your brand an identity. And you know who is the master of doing this? Of course you do. It's Nintendo. Have Nintendo experimented with doing other things with their brands? You bet. But what do they still, to this very day, primarily use their brands to do? Drive console sales. To say, these are 10 out of 10 exquisite experiences, and you can only have them in one place. And that is on our system. That's on the N64, the GameCube, the Wii, the Wii U, the Switch 2. You can only play our games on these platforms. And where is Nintendo today? Far and away beyond terms when we think about the video game industry. They are far and away the brand leader in my eyes. I mean, look at how deep that brand goes, not just in video gaming, but in broader society as a whole. I mean, it is unfathomable how massive they have become. Look at the launch of the Switch 2. Look at the numbers that they were able to do, driven by, you guessed it, the exclusive games that you're only going to be able to play on Nintendo Switch. Let's think about the other side of this, the technical side of exclusives, what that brought to consoles, and also the fact that they drive competition. So exclusive games used to be really important for video game hardware in the sense that they would be technical demonstrations of what the hardware could do. So if you look at a lot of the 3D console generations, what did you tend to get at launch? A racing game that was exclusive to that platform. And what did they tend to use those racing games for? Hardware performance showcases. Look at the graphics that we can produce here. Look at the frame rate that we can produce here. Look at the technical capabilities of our console if mastered correctly. That's what exclusives used to do. They provided a bar for everyone else to try to reach. And the GameCube is a great example of that. Rogue Squadron 2. That game was perhaps the ultimate technical showcase for the Nintendo GameCube. I remember playing that in a Toys R Us on a kiosk back in England. Um, and yeah, what would that have been? Like my 10 or 11-year-old brain essentially exploded playing that game. I mean, it was completely mind-blowing, and I knew that the only place I'd be able to play that was on the Nintendo GameCube. So what did I want to get? Not a PS2, not an Xbox, a Nintendo GameCube. And I'll go into my whole story with gaming at some point here on this channel. But that's also lost again by these Kumbaya content creators. Who's going to be making these technical showcases? Who's going to be really showcasing the hardware? If it's not exclusives, is it just going to be third parties? Well, maybe, but are they ever going to reach the same level of technical expertise? I guess we'll have to wait and see. But I think the real big issue for exclusive games is the fact that they drive competition in this industry. When you had Sony and Microsoft battling it out in the arena for exclusives, you had a hell of a lot of great stuff from both companies. From both companies. And why? Because they were constantly trying to one-up one another. They were constantly trying to bring people over to their side. You can only play this here. And this is better than what the other side has put out. Hold up, no, it's not. Now we've got something that's going to be better than what they've just put out. And this went back and forth for years. What is Microsoft doing in terms of competition and video games and what it seems like it's going to be producing moving forward? Generic, mass appeal games that are trying to target TikTok users and Fortnite players. Need I say more? Not to again throw everyone that uses TikTok or plays Fortnite under the bus, but broadly, are these platforms and games that really push any sort of entertainment medium forward in any meaningful way? Not really. Not really. Especially on the Fortnite side of things. So if Microsoft is heading down this path of generic mediocrity, mass appeal, is there going to be much of an incentive there for Sony to continue pushing the single player experiences that they've been known for now for decades? Is there going to be any incentive for them to carry on doing that? Or is Sony now going to take its foot off the gas? Hey, you know what? Xbox is kind of out of the race. We know this is probably going to be their last console coming up. We'll just come in with a competitive price, sweep everyone up. They'll be in our net, so to speak. And then we can just kind of do whatever we want with games, with prices. And we know Sony has a history of getting particularly arrogant as a corporation when they think they're on top of the world. Just go back and look at the PS3 launch. And in some ways, Nintendo, too, has done the exact same thing, haven't they? With their $80 Mario Kart. So if we remove Xbox as a platform, we remove exclusive games over there, you're opening up a world that's going to be dominated by Nintendo and Sony. And in some ways, they haven't really been in competition with one another the same way Sony and Xbox have. So they're kind of going to be on their own individual islands, free to do exactly what they want. And that's probably not going to be too great for the consumer. So I would love to hear what you guys think about this. I think, again, just to reiterate, if you are angry or disappointed or upset about this, I think those are completely valid feelings. I've kind of gone through them myself with Xbox, but like I said, that was years ago now. I saw this coming from a while back. Go watch my previous videos, and I explain that in quite a bit of detail. But let me know what you think. Do you think we're heading into a world of video game golden age? I certainly don't. Yeah, there are some good games here and there that still do come out. Battlefield 6, I would say one of them. Not an exclusive, of course, but kind of proving that it is still possible to make great games, but they're few and far between. I mean, if you go and look back at some of these old years of video game launches, I mean, look at 2007, 2008, 2009, the games that came out just in those years alone. I don't think we're ever going to get back there. Leave me your comments below, hit like, and I'll be back with more videos real soon.